Michael Tellinger, my good friend, great to be with you again today.
Lovely to see you, Scotty. Always good to see you, and I look forward to our chat today. Very important discussion we're going to have here today.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Michael, I've just been following One Small Town. It's growing all over the world. There's amazing initiatives. You're talking about technology. I'm following your Telegram group. You've got all this incredible stuff going, and the people are joining you. It's amazing. I know that you're calling for investors. You're looking for people that are bright, different perspective, different type of mindset to their life. Is a little bit of confusion for someone like me. Just where do you start? Because you've got a token and you've got this technology and you've got these opportunities. Can we just make it really simple today and tell us, if somebody's got money and they want to invest in these amazing initiatives, how does it work?
Yeah, Scotty, this is very important. So for anyone that wants to get a background information on One Small Town, please go to onesmalltown.org. That's our main website. Watch the videos, get an update, understand what it is that we're doing. Because it takes a little bit of time for the average person to realize what it is we're doing, because everything we do in essence is counterintuitive to the world that we find ourselves in. Because we're saying the One Small Town model says that we can't go out there and fight for ourselves. You know, while capitalism and what they teach you at school and in society and in corporations is that you got to fight to get on top.
Competition. Yeah.
So it's constantly underpinning the individual strive to be the greatest and to control everyone else, or get to the top of the pile and be the kingpin. And then, you just, when you win the rat race, you're still a rat. So that's exactly the counterintuitive kind of argument that One Small Town stands for. One Small Town presents the issue and the argument that only through cooperation, unity, and collaboration can we achieve infinite abundance and prosperity. Because in a dog-eat-dog world, we just create carnage and chaos and poverty and all the problems that we find in society today are a consequence of hard, cold capitalism. It does.
And the agendas, and those agendas of the
Yes.
few that try to impose their will on the many.
Exactly. So One Small Town is very simple. I'm not going to go through the philosophy. Go find out about it. But what One Small Town does, we've now created the token that people earn when they contribute towards their community, contribute towards the well-being of their community, the infinity token. That I anticipate is going to become one of the most valuable community tokens in the world very, very quickly. In the next 2 years or so, we're going to see that token go through the roof, not in value so that people can get rich of it, through the roof in terms of how it allows people to contribute, gives them the opportunity to contribute, and in return gives them the opportunity to share and trade and experience a free exchange society in which they find themselves, the One Small Town community around the world, which is growing exponentially. We've had to put a sort of a hold on it because there's so many people interested in becoming ambassadors and joining and starting towns and representing their countries, but it's sort of caught up with our blockchain and our IT platform. That is such a huge thing. So we've had to put a hold on it for a little while we fine-tuning and getting everything right. Because once we open those floodgates, it's going to be very difficult to stop. So let's find out why One Small Town is such a new investment opportunity, an incredible, unique investment opportunity for conscious investors, conscious millionaires and billionaires that has never existed before. And that's what makes it so exciting. I truly believe that One Small Town and the investment opportunities and the infinite potential growth of those investment opportunities is unprecedented in the world, in the capitalist world, that will grow and grow until the point that there is so much abundance in money and cash and food and technology and everything that people no longer worry about the money. But there's a path that we have to travel to get there. And this presents conscious millionaires and billionaires and investors who are worried about the world, worried about what's happening in the world, what our governments are doing, where they're leading us to, who want to do something about it. The One Small Town is the opportunity for people, conscious investors and millionaires, to do something about it. And I believe that it'll take one conscious millionaire that says, wow, I've got 50 million bucks lying around. I don't know what to do with it. I'm scared of putting it in the normal financial markets. I'm scared of putting it on the stock exchange. I'm scared of investing in the normal kind of investment bouquet that is presented to all the investors out in the world. It is a dog-eat-dog world, and it's a very dangerous investment pool out there at the moment. You never know when this market is going to crash, or that's going to explode, or this bubble is going to.
And people are looking to protect instead of innovate. But now, Michael, when people invest in one small town, are they investing in one small town as a whole idea or concept, or are they investing in specific projects? How does that work?
Okay, and this, I think, possibly leads to some confusion. So again, this just shows you how incredible, diverse, and inclusive the one small town model is. First of all, for individuals who want to join one small town, no one has ever excluded. No one has ever stopped. You can't join one small town. Anyone can join one small town, in your community. All you got to do is pledge to contribute 3 hours a week towards the well-being of your community. That creates the incredible, powerful labor force. Our labor force, in a town of 10,000 people, you got 10,000 people contributing 3 hours a week. That's 30,000 hours of free labor a week. That is an insane amount of labor that capitalist companies do not have. That's what gives the one small town its strength. Now, when you multiply that to a town of 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000, it gets crazy. And then you multiply it to people contributing more than just 3 hours a week, which is the minimum we want our members to contribute. So some people have more time on their hands. They can contribute 3 hours a day. Now, suddenly, if you've got 10,000 members contributing 3 hours a day, you've got 30,000 hours of labor a day. Free labor. This changes everything.
So, who has that access to that labor though? How does that work? So who tells them what to do? Does an investor come along and go, I want to do a food garden? Like, my passion is growing your own food. I think everybody should grow their own food. And I think there's a town with one small town. I can see they're doing some good stuff, but I don't think that, in my mind, I would love to see them growing more of their own food. I've got $50,000 I'd like to invest in growing. How does that now take shape?
Yes. So remember, the fundamental strength of one small town is that the community that calls itself the one small town community in this town, the members with the board that they appoint, we as the members of one small town start as many businesses as we possibly can. We write business plans for these businesses. It's in agriculture, growing as much food as we can across many agricultural sectors. We set up technologies, manufacturing. We set up food processing, so we create healthy food to go on our shelves on our stores. We set up building material, brick making, water bottling, any kind of business you can imagine, anything we can imagine. Because we have the labor force, we got to create businesses to put ourselves to work. And those businesses are then offered as investment opportunities to investors around the world. Anyone can invest into any one of those businesses. And you can say, wow, I love your idea for a bakery. I've always wanted to own a bakery. Let me invest $1 million into the bakery. And that becomes the best bakery in that entire town and the entire district, because it's now owned. 60% of the bakery is owned by the members of the community, the one small town members in that town. The investor can never own more than 30% of any business that is up for investment. So very, very quickly, very importantly, the community, one small town, with their labor force, we decide what businesses we want to start, and we then offer those business opportunities to conscious investors. We make up the bulk labor force, which means we save on all the mundane labor, which is normally the biggest expense in any company. Between 30 and 80% of any large corporation goes towards paying its labor. We as a community can save our investors 30 to 80%, it's probably more than 30, it's 50 to 80% of the monthly expenses, because we don't have to pay the labor, the menial manual labor that we provide as a community. There's a much bigger investment opportunity for investors, because the profitability of that company, of that business, is going to be very...
So Michael, do you have a list of potential projects, or is it investor led? So what would be the best email that you could receive from someone wanting to invest? Is it, Michael, I've watched the video interview you did with Scott. I followed one small town. I've got $50,000, $100,000. I want to invest in a food garden. What's the next step?
Yes.
Or is it, oh, I looked on your website, I see you starting a bakery. I would like to invest in that bakery.
Yes. So this is the plan. This is the opportunity. The original plan was that we were going to start the one small town, and we were going to write a whole bunch of business plans, and then open that One Small Town initiative on the website of that town, offering all these investment opportunities into the business plans. Well, remember, we're doing something that's never been done before. These are growing pains that we're experiencing. So as we go, we realize, okay, well, in theory that worked, but in practice, it's not working as well as we thought. And one of the areas that I was very surprised that we weren't able just to come up with 50 or 100 different business plans. It's a lot more complex to write business plans than people imagine. I can write a business plan, you can write one, because we've been doing it all our lives. But the average person on the street has no idea how to write a business plan. So that sort of became a hurdle that we have to overcome.
So you asked your town to create business plans, but of course the business plans they came up with were investor ready. So you've now had to realize that you have to turn it around to the other side.
Yes. Yeah. So it works both ways. And we're putting a lot of emphasis right now for our members and our ambassadors in all the different towns. I think we got like 40 ambassadors now. It's just growing crazy in I think 20 countries, 15 countries. And we're now putting a lot of emphasis and encouraging all our members and ambassadors that have signed up just to write business plans, write any kind of business plan that will serve your community, serve your people, serve your needs, and start with agriculture, food growing, food processing, construction, building homes, etc., healthcare, the cornerstones of our needs, and it's starting to work. So that's the one way that investors can find us, is when sooner or later we're going to start having more and more business plans and investment opportunities on the website and under each town that is active as One Small Town. And we're about to start in let me not mention the countries, but let me tell you, we're about to start in about 5 new countries as we speak.
So that's okay. So amazing then. So once again, going back to what we were chatting about, the best email that you could receive right now is, Michael, this is Scott. I've got $50,000. I really want to start a food garden in Lebanon. And you then go to the lady in Lebanon who's running one of the One Small Towns in Lebanon and go, I've got some great news. We've got $50,000. We're working on the business plan together, or work on it with Scott, or Scott's got his business plan. This is what he wants to do. That's great. We can invest it. I need you now to implement this business plan in the One Small Town in your area. Get the labor, get the 3 hours a week, and then start initiating it. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. That's one way of doing it. And to do this, to manage this successfully without any hiccups, without things going wrong, without people running away with the money, where the investor feels confident and that their money is not going to just disappear down a bottomless pit, that it's going to go to that particular project and that business that they want to invest into. First of all, this is for conscious investors who also want to make the world a better place for themselves and their family and their children and the future of the world. But it's also they want to invest because they want to see potentially some returns on their investments, or very good returns on their investments. It's all of the above, right? We might find investors, angel investors, that say, wow, I don't care if this doesn't make money. I love the idea. Here's $1 million. Please start that bakery because I love bakeries and so whatever,
And then if it makes money, if the $1 million they invest ends up making another $1 million, they'll just put that $1 million into another opportunity and they'll just continuously reinvest it.
Yes, but it's not only the investor, it's the community as well, the members. So once this thing starts rolling and our businesses start to make profit, we can distribute some of the profits to our members. That's some of the benefits they get, right? So just in case the viewers that are watching this don't know, the benefits to our members, as long as you contribute 3 hours a week, every month, you get a basket of goods that is distributed equally to all our members, as long as you contribute 3 hours a week for 4 consecutive weeks. That's the minimum you have to contribute. Then you're eligible to get your basket of goods. It'd be food, could be a laptop or a bicycle or nail clippers or a fridge or whatever it is that we do in our businesses. So remember, what we want to do is we want to grow as much food as we can, make sure we grow enough for ourselves so we can provide enough corn flour and bread and milk and for our members. But we try and do that, 10 times more than what we need for ourselves. And that 10 times more is what's sold in the open market, and the profits are then distributed to our members. It's very simple. That's where our labor force becomes so critical, because it's a free labor force. So we can do so much more than a capitalist kind of factory that has to pay.
Why, of course, places like Africa and certain countries where there's a high unemployment rates, are so well suited to this, because now you've got this labor force. And I was looking at this, I'm in Cape Town at the moment, walking down the streets, and it's full of homeless. I mean, if those homeless were to spend 3 hours a week growing food, and they would nurture, and just think about the psychological, you're planting, you're watering your food, it's doing mental health, it's good for everything. It's just so good for everybody to do it. It's such a no-brainer idea. So I think the point that I'm trying to make, just to reiterate though, Michael, is you're looking for investors who also have a project in mind they would love to see implemented in one of the one small towns around the world that are existing. You guys can make it happen. You just need the money and the business plan and that particular project. That's
as simple as that, really. So it can be driven by the community. Say, here's a business plan for something we want to do, one of the businesses we want to start up in our one small town community, or it can come from an investor. And that's an investor that says, wow, I love this idea. I would love to invest so much into this particular business. And I have a business plan for it. Or let's write a business plan and I'll invest that money to set this up in this one small town community.
Beautiful.
Or it can,
got it.
Or it can go to even a higher level. Some guy can say, well, I got 50 million bucks. Now I was going to invest it onto the stock exchange and spread it and blah, 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 and say, but I'm a bit nervous of the stock market because it could crash tomorrow and then I'll lose everything.
And you don't believe in the stock market as a concept anymore.
Yeah, exactly. More and more people are very nervous to put their money in the stock market. So
no, sure, they want these ideas. Do you have an example, Michael, of a project that's happening now that you could give us?
I do have an example, but before I go there, I just want to take you through the process. So let me take you through what could happen. And I believe what this will happen, because it's such a new idea and it's so counterintuitive to the capitalist mind, the capitalist thinking. Everything we do with the One Small Town initiative is literally turning the current system upside down to make sure that it benefits the entire community and the investor and the individual. So we're doing something that's never been done before. This is really very important to constantly remind ourselves of. We're pioneering something that's never been done before. Many people have tried with intentional communities and growing garden food communities and so forth, but none of those work as a sustainable model because they literally become a drop in an ocean, a drop of positive energy in an ocean of sharks that just consume it all the time. So what One Small Town does is present the model, the simple model, the integrated investment opportunities and the integrated projects and businesses that benefit every member of the community and has infinite potential for growth, infinite new ideas that can keep coming and growing. Every month we can start a new business here or there, everywhere. So what I believe is going to happen, we're going to find one conscious billionaire or millionaire. It says, well, I don't know what to do with this 50 million bucks. I'm too nervous of the normal investment markets. And then they see One Small Town. They go, wow, I love this idea. Look, I can take this town, which is my beautiful town that I've loved. I grew up there and I would love to go live back there, but it's destroyed and it's broken. That's why I live in Manhattan or whatever, right? So, but if I take 50 million bucks and I go to my little town of 5,000 or 10,000 people, I can fund every cornerstone business with that money and literally become not only the savior of the town, but the spark that ignites the exponential growth of that town. So I, as an investor, can go and own the local store, like a Walmart store. I can own all the food growing farm facilities, agricultural facilities, the mills that mill the corn and the wheat and create the flour. And I can own the bakeries and I can own the dairies and the brick making and the construction and everything and the pharmaceutical lab that makes local alternative medicines and pharmaceuticals and the mainstream pharmaceuticals like aspirin and paracetamol and everything. I can fund all these different businesses with $50 million and be a 30% partner in all of those businesses with the community as being my partner, which means that whatever business we start, no one can ever come into that community and undermine that business of mine because my partner is the community. And so no one can ever come in and create a better dairy or a better bakery or a better brick making facility. It's impossible because 10,000 people are working for free in their own brick factory, in their own dairy. So no one can ever come and compete with the prices and the produce and the results that we're going to create. I hope that's very clear to everybody.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lovely concept. So you've got to get into people's minds. Yeah.
One investor can become literally the owner of all the cornerstone businesses to start the one small town. And then from then on, it just keeps growing. And that investor can keep starting more and more businesses with that community. Or that community can just start their own businesses after that, because they'll have all the money and the cash flow coming into the one small town kitty. So once it starts, and those businesses start to make money, and they start exporting food and pharmaceuticals and healthcare stuff and bricks and God knows what, you'll see how the small towns of the world are going to become, it's going to become a stampede by conscious millionaires to find the next one small town. And the interesting thing is that there are more millionaires in the world than there are small towns in the world. That's a very interesting situation. So once this penny drops for the conscious investors, they're going to start looking, wow, I love this. What am I going to do with this 10 million bucks I've got, or 20 million or $100 million? And this can go to serious levels of technology.
But I like your idea of, if there's somebody who's become a famous artist and they were in a small town, they moved to Manhattan or Sydney or something, and their small town is kind of falling apart, and they love the arts, and they can then go and invest in art projects in their small town to begin with, and say, right, guys, let's begin it. But don't do it in the normal way. We've got to create an NGO, get it registered, then all the salaries get paid. This is an alternative to that structure, where you can invest and actually have that building, and then the artists work and actually paint and create art and sculpt for free, building this, because then your labor force is free, which means that you can have a great price for everything that gets sold. I see where it's going. So you're looking for those individuals to be able to go, this is what I want to do, Michael. I've got the money. This is a project I want to create.
Yeah, we have an infinite number of projects for conscious investors to start and to invest in. We have a health and wellness center going up in Lebanon. Lebanon, by the way, the town of Ras El Matan is by far our greatest example.
Yeah, this is an example, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a really dynamic ambassador there, Fayez Mukarim, and the community in Ras El Matan, about 8,000 people, I think, around there. They have just taken to this. They've got a youth council, they've got an elder council, they've got a women's council, and it's just people are just taking to it. And they've already started their one small town store that people bring stuff and they're selling it to tourists and to outsiders. They've started growing oregano to make oregano oil, which is a hugely profitable product for export. They've got olive gardens, I believe. They're about to start growing all kinds of other vegetables and putting up tunnels. They've got primary water, which is like sacred water that they're about to start bottling and exporting, like Fiji water. You go everywhere around the world, you find Fiji water everywhere from Fiji, right? So having primary water from Ras El Matan, Lebanon, the land of the Phoenicians. There's so much beautiful
history. Yeah. And it was a war-torn country, at one point. So this is how we can take these, and I think pretty much every country today is in some way a war-torn country, either indirectly or, the nightmare that people are going through. So this is this is a beautiful example, Michael. Wow. Yeah.
So I believe that the One Small Town initiative is going to become the new go-to stampede craze for conscious investors. The moment the penny drops, one guy does it, or one wealthy investor somewhere says, wow, this is fantastic. This is what I've been waiting for. They can see the future because they're going to be in charge of growing their own food, processing their own food, making their own medicines in the pharmaceutical labs that they set up in companies, distributing their own food, having a retailer that sells a one small town store, which becomes the center of each town, that sells all the products and the things that we make. We have to put it somewhere. So we're not going to put it in Walmart or in the other stores. We're going to create our own store, the one small town superstore. And that's where everything we grow and manufacture and produce gets sold as a retailer, but also exported to wherever we need to export it to. And you can see how no retailer can possibly compete against the one small town superstore. How is it possible? Because we're producing, growing everything ourselves. And then you add the technology to it, the technology that will be implemented in this, which I'm just going to mention, but not going to go into too much detail. Once you get the technology and the electricity and the healthcare and all that, it's crazy. It's crazy, the profitability of this and the success and the unity, how it brings the community together and shows people that they can have a beautiful world filled with abundance and prosperity for themselves and their children. And that's what I think the conscious millionaires are going to recognize, because where do you go and live with your family and your children that you are safe and feel surrounded by people that are on your side? Because right now it's dog eat dog. Everyone is for themselves. What One Small Town does, it makes people realize that on your own, you're on your own. But if you stand united as a community, it's a very, very strong principle that communities will protect themselves, protect their interests.
Love it. Michael, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. So final question is obviously, what would you say would be the next step of somebody that wants to get involved financially?
So first, go onto our website, have a look at, familiarize yourself with what we're doing. Watch the video.
That's onesmalltown.org. Is that right?
Onesmalltown.org. Yeah. And then if you want to invest into the One Small Town initiative, we have an infinite number of businesses we can launch. We have some business plans. We'll write new business plans. And if an investor wants to start one or several businesses, we will work with that investor. We'll find the right town. We'll initiate the One Small Town initiative there. It may not be there, and we might not be active there, but with an investor, we can choose a town. So somebody can say, I want to do this in a town that I was born in and grew up in. And so we'll say, okay, let's do that. They will take that town, because the investor, in essence, brings the initiative to it creates the initiative. When we launch the One Small Town initiative, we can launch it anywhere in the world, in any one small town, when we have an investor to do that. Otherwise, we find an ambassador, we launch a One Small Town initiative, we get the members signed up, and then we go look for the investors for the projects and the businesses that we want to start in our community. We can do it from both sides, driven from the community and the ambassador in the community, or driven by an investor who wants to start and has the money to invest into all the cornerstone businesses.
Beautiful. So conscious investors, this is for you. Michael, thank you so much, my friend. It's, as always, just so inspiring.
And I would say, just as a final note, Scotty, just email me, michael@onesmalltown.org. If you are an investor and you want to take this further, email michael@onesmalltown.org, and we'll get this thing going very, very quickly.
Beautiful. Great work, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, Scotty. Till later.
Cheers, mate.